Hello YouTube, welcome back. Got another video. Try to get another one up quick because it's been pretty slow on my channel for a while. This match I'm going to be doing Legolas. I have a Thrain video, but my kind of part 2 on Thrain with his health and AP build, but I'm going to hold off. I had a video recorded, but I want a better one that better shows him in the tank role. So I'm going to hold off on that one until I find a good enough video to show you so you guys get a better idea. So this is Legolas, and here we go. Legolas is great striker. He is very comparable to Heldir, but their abilities are much different. I really feel more comfortable when I play Legolas. He's really just a more straight up, I think, easy Guardian too for newer players. Now for Legolas's passive, it's called Fierce Precision, and what it does is Legolas gains ferocity and his enemies are dispatched, increasing his attack speed by 10% for 45 seconds following the defeat of an enemy Guardian. So you can see how this is really good if you can stack it up if you're running attack speed relics. This is one of the main reasons why people like to run attack speed with Legolas. He dishes out a lot of damage. So one thing is you don't want to really max out your attack speed because of your passive. What I like to do is I like the Woodland Hunter's relic, which is very popular. You'll see it every game, and it's a nice balance between not only just attack speed but critical chance as well, and it gives you some movement speed, which is very useful for archers. Now, otherwise, I usually use some other 2-slot relics that'll give me attack speed. Really, it's just preference. I like going in the longer game with Legolas because he is very useful late game when you have those tanks that are running full resistance and health. You'll cut right through them, and the warriors as well, I should say. Now, the first ability I always level up is Woodland Shot, and that's your spam ability. And what it does is Legolas skillfully fires a single deadly arrow at a guardian or creature within long range, striking a target for 16 up to 40 ability damage per second for 3 seconds, and slowing that foe by reducing their movement speed by 36 up to 48% for 3 seconds. And this ability gains a small benefit, increased ability power. You never want to run any ability power with Legolas, in my opinion. Now, the second ability I level up, and you can do it how you like, but I like to level up Sylvan Agility, and what that does is utilizing the skills of Elves of the Woodland Realm. Legolas teleports instantly, moving to a location within medium range. Thereafter, he is stealth for 2.2 seconds, remaining hidden from enemies while not attacking, and with an increased movement speed of 15, scaling up to 45% for 60 seconds. And this ability gains no benefit from ability power. Now, the reason why I like this one is because it's not only good for hunting down enemies, but also getting away. And the more you level it up, the more movement speed you get, and typically no one's going to have that fast of movement speed in the beginning of the game, so it'll really be useful, especially early game when you definitely don't want to die, to be able to really get out of those situations and move away from the enemy fast. The only time I ever really see anybody run movement speed in the beginning is when they're playing Gothmog and running an all movement speed belt. Now, the next ability that you're going to want to level up is going to be Elven Onslaught, and that's Legolas's ultimate. And Legolas delivers a focused blow to a guardian or creature, knocking them back to long range, wounding them for 40 up to 100 ability damage per second for 3 seconds. So that's pretty good right there. And lowering the afflicted enemy's basic resistance by 6 up into 18% for 3 seconds. Inflicted ability damage will increase as Legolas's health increases. This ability gains a moderate benefit from increased ability power. This is really a great ability. Not too strong, Well, it does do a good amount of damage, especially if you read the description that I just read. Really though, what I think it's better used for is in situations where you have maybe a Barrow White Lord that goes into his undead ability and he's invulnerable for 5 seconds, dealing a ton of damage to you and your teammates. You can save that ability for right there, knock him back, and he becomes useless. So Legolas can be very, very useful for some of his abilities, even though none of them are overwhelming. Now, another example you could use it for is if you have a Mouth of Sauron and he's in his ultimate, you can knock him back. And now he's no longer eating away the percent health on all your tanks and everybody else. It's really just a very good ability. What you do have to be careful for, especially newer players playing Legolas, is you can be very irritating to your teammates. I know I'm guilty of doing this. I'm sure everybody is. But when you get somebody's health all the way down, you just start spamming abilities, not really taking into consideration of what you're actually doing. And the team's about to get a kill, and you knock the enemy back, and he gets away. And you actually end up helping him. That's something you really got to be careful with that ability. You don't want to do that. You'll get chewed out for that one. Now the last ability I level up is Greenwood Blades, and Legolas wields his short swords and unleashes a close range attack, slashing enemies for 45 up into 150 ability damage. The force of the blows also root the afflicted enemy for 0.9 seconds, slows the enemy attack speed by 10%, and enhances Legolas's damage resistance by 5% for 5 seconds. The ability gains a moderate benefit from increased ability power. I think that damage resistance is actually 10%. I'm using the app on my phone that gives me all the information, so not everything I give you is completely accurate. I just want to point that out if anybody notices that sometimes I might say something inaccurate. I'm just basing this off of the app, the Gome app on my phone. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, go ahead. Stay here.
Now, the reason why I saved that one for last is really all you're doing is enhancing the ability damage, which is pretty negligible compared to Legolas's basic attack. So I really recommend doing Sylvan Agility second for that extra movement speed. And it really helps you jungling lanes as well. If you want to help lane get a kill or something, it lets you really catch up with any enemy guardians and get away. Now, based on order of which abilities to use, really kind of depends on the situation for Legolas. The typical combination I use is, again, it depends on the situation, but if it's, let's say, a one-on-one and I'm not going up against a defender or somebody with high resistance, I'm going to first and foremost as an archer, and with the range advantage that you have, is always poke their health down little by little before you really engage them with your abilities and decide to get close. It's never smart to just approach an enemy with full health, but what I'll do after whittling their health down a little bit is I do Woodland Shot, and for the little bit of ability damage, slowing them down so they're not able to move away as fast, and then I teleport to them, and I use the Greenwood Blades, and then I do some more attack damage, and if they start to become too big of a threat, then I save my ultimate ability of an Onslaught and shoot them away from me, which continues to do damage for them. And if it, judging by the situation, like I said, go for more poke damage, keep hitting them with your basic. Really your basic is how you're going to get all your kills. So you can see right there, finish that off after using my teleport. You can see if I didn't level up my teleport, I might have not had the movement speed, possibly, to get that kill. So the loadout I usually see, and you're going to see other veteran players using, really is going to be very similar. The only thing you might see different are the red gems or green gems in this belt. But what I use is I use Wilderland Hunter's Relic. Okay. And what that does, it gives you the attack speed, like I said earlier, gives you plus 15% movement speed. and it gives you plus 2% critical chance per level, so you get 28 critical chance, which is really huge when you get those crits off. And then I fill those with all attack speed gems. The red gems is really where you're going to see the difference. A lot of people like life steal in the beginning. I like a basic attack damage gem. You don't want a 4% basic attack percent gem. It's not gonna. It's only gonna give you like 2 or 3 damage. I didn't calculate that out. I'm just going off estimation, but it won't be as much as using a basic attack gem that gives you 6 damage. That's really huge right when you hit level 2, your first level. It'll really boost your DPS. So that's what I do. And then for my second relic, I go Eagle's Eye. All strikers have 15% penetration, that are melee strikers, that is. Archers don't have any penetration. So for them, they're already weak guardians, and they have tools to get them out of situations where they get caught, such as teleports, both Haldir and Legolas, and then you have the roll away for Keely, and then Arathorn, not really considered too much of an archer because he's a warrior, but he does have his ultimate that turns him invisible and lets him maybe slip out of the situation, and his A that lets him stun. So you do have tools to get you out. So what I do is I use Eagle's Eye, which gives you 60% basic attack penetration, which is huge for whittling away anybody who's stacking health and resistance. Really resistance. Gives you a more evenly distributed damage output, which could be useful against almost any guardian. Well, yeah, pretty much any guardian. The only place where you're losing damage is against other strikers or tacticians, anybody with low basic attack resistance. Okay, but the downside of that relic, Eagle's Eye, is you take 10% more damage from all sources. So what I do is I put at the end 2 lifesteal gems, and the green gem I use just a basic health gem because strikers don't have much health. You don't want to give them a % health gem. And what that does is, like I said, I already have the tools, the teleports, to get me out of a situation, and I have the lifesteal, which I think counters the negative effect that Eagle's Eye has. And then when I talk about my commands later, you'll also understand why it won't be such a big deal having that. But having 60 basic attack penetration will let you eat right through any tank that thinks he's the shit. So any Eowyn, any Legolas, any Mozgog that's running health, any maybe Thrain who has high resistance even, any of those guardians, Witch King, you're going to eat right through their health, and in less than 3 seconds they're going to be down 100 health probably, or 1,000 health probably. That's with all your attack speed and maybe getting a crit or 2. So that's the main reason why I use that. Plus you have the distance advantage, which I didn't really mention. You can see right there, lost out against Frodo. That's one thing you got to really be careful for. He is an archer killer. He can just remain invisible, him and Bilbo, and just come out of nowhere, do a bunch of damage, and you have to really be quick on your feet to use your teleport, and hope it's on cooldown that you can use it. But yeah, Eagle Eye is going to give you the biggest amount of consistent damage to each guardian, especially the tanks, which become a huge problem if you don't have anybody on your team that can do that much damage. So Willow and Hunter's Relic and Eagle's Eye is going to be the main loadout you're going to see. I guarantee it for Legolas, especially with the veteran players. That's really what they like to use. It's my favorite loadout. The only disadvantage I really think about it is it's more of a late game relic, but if you're patient, being a striker, which you can be, you can hug your tower, you can also poke people at their tower, keep their health low. You gotta wait till level 8 to unlock your first relic. So you're gonna do good damage being archer early game and being a striker, but you gotta really be careful because you are vulnerable. Now the commands I like to use are health relic. For the obvious reasons is it really gets you out of those dangerous situations early game. Let's say you don't have your teleport, or even if you're just low health and you have an enemy guardian that all you have to do is do one more basic attack on you, you can heal up and potentially get out of a situation where you would have died from. The second command that I go for, and this is going to depend on your playstyle with Legolas, but I do spiked armor, and I find that to be the most useful because you go from being this very delicate striker that everybody will chase down and try to confront one-on-one to being just almost an invincible tank that deals destruction. It's really great, and the thing about it is it lasts for, I believe, 12 seconds, so there's a big time window where you're able to reflect 70 resistance, both ability and basic attack damage. Now with Eagle Eye active, if you get that late in the game, you'll still take 10% more damage, but with the lifesteal, you're going to find that people will not be able to kill you. The only probably situation is if you're just outnumbered. You could probably even take on 2 people with it. Now the third relic I like to use is because Legolas doesn't really have any team AoE kind of abilities, is I like to run lightning. And that's a standard one. I'm sure almost everybody has lightning. And then the final one, I like aerial strike if I want to get enemies off their tower, or I want to push enemies away from me that might hurt my tower or come after my team and finish them off. So really it's up to you. The other last command, if I were to replace aerial strike, would be adrenaline. And what adrenaline does, it gives you 50% attack speed and I believe 25% critical chance. So with the Wilderwood Hunter Relic, you're really going to be putting a huge amount of damage output because you're boosting your attack speed by 50. Wilderwood Hunter gives you around the 40-ish, and it gives you also 28 critical chance, so you're going to add 25 to that, and you're going to be just murdering everybody in your path. The only downside is it doesn't last very long, and you have the potential of not even being able to get in there after you activate it to do enough damage. And if you are close enough, you also have the opportunity to expose yourself and get killed. So that's why I usually like aerial strike, but in this instance I did run adrenaline. Now you really want to focus as an archer and being Legolas early game is really just positioning yourself, making sure you're not out of position. Meaning you don't want to get in a spot where you get caught up and you're easy to kill. So the way I play Legolas, when I'm doing everything right, sometimes I get too aggressive, is you just want to whittle away towers, never get too close, just be on the very edge where you can do your basic attack damage, and then you should be set. The same goes for when you're doing damage to other guardians. Try to avoid running into multiple guardian situations. You want to position yourself behind other allies on your team. That is really the safest place for you and the place where you're most effective. You don't want to die. You're going to do the most damage letting your enemy or your ally taking the damage while you whittle the enemy away. Even if your ally doesn't seem to think so, that's going to be the best place for you. So you can see here I have Eagle Eye active. Don't know if you'll be able to see the full extent of it, but I will be doing more damage to the more resistant guardians. Plus, I'll do more damage to towers actually. You can see there. We have all the towers done. One of the other cool things you can do with Legolas is you can teleport behind enemies and then use your ultimate to push them back into your own allies, which is very, very useful, and it's something you want to keep in mind in the back of your head if you think you have the opportunity to do so. It takes a little bit of practice, and you can see him do it right here. Boom. Knocked Mozgog into my teammates. My teammates were able to use the controlling effects, and I was able to get the kill. So you can see that tactic too is a very useful one when playing Legolas. I want to thank you guys. I didn't really touch, there's a lot to touch on Legolas. I didn't get to touch on all of it, but it won't be my last Legolas video. I plan on doing every Guardian more than once. Thank you guys for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Tell other players to watch my videos if you would. It really keeps me going, and that you guys are interested in my videos. So thanks.